Are you going to be going on a staycation? Because, of course, you can't get past Just Stop Oil if they're sitting in front of you at the departure lounge at Gatwick or Heathrow. They've been doing that this week. But if you're going anywhere around Britain, you might find that there's a bit of a problem on the roads because apparently there's 220 miles, believe it or not, of roadworks, right, which are going to get in your way. I had a text yesterday from somebody, a tweet rather, from somebody who was trying to make it down to Devon and Dorset area, and he said the roadworks were just horrendous. They were everywhere, from the M25 all the way down on the M5, all the way down to the A303. Just everywhere you went, there were roadworks, single-lane motorways and all the rest of it. Simon Calder is here to help us out. He's, of course, travel correspondent, travel guru for The Independent. Simon, a very good morning to you.
Yes, good morning, Mike. And you're quite right. This is going to hit the M1, the M3, 4, 5, 6, the M20, the M25 and the M27. Right. And effectively, we've got over 200 miles of lanes which are going to be closed, and this is all to do with retrofitting more safety areas on so-called smart motorways. And the idea will be that, well, you've got the usual 3 lanes reduced, which are expanded to 4 because of the all-lane runnings idea. And this is effectively, what do we do to increase capacity without spending any more money? And usual thing, huge safety concerns about what is happening. And as a result of that, they're putting in more safety areas, but they've got to do that by closing the inside 2 lanes. And effectively, you go from 4 to 2 with predictable consequences.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable. I was away on holiday for 2 weeks, had a wonderful time in a place called Montenegro, which I highly recommend. However, got back to Gatwick Airport only to discover that half the roads on the way back to where I was trying to get to in Sussex were closed. You know, so it was like, welcome back to Britain. You know, the A21 was shut. There was all sorts of other local roads closed down. I mean, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? And again, you're quite right. An awful lot of it's being done to supposedly make it safer for people to take refuge if they break down.
Yes, and look, it comes down to transport infrastructure, ultimately. We are a small, very compact, very crowded country, and I'm speaking to you actually from Canada, which is a vast nation, and of course they've got all the roads you want. Although I tell you what they do here, which is really weird, they've got to get all the work done in summer because, of course, in winter Canada is basically unfit for human habitation, and therefore they've done quite a lot. I've been driving around of stopping all the traffic. You wait there for about half an hour, and then they lead you over a stretch where they're doing some work. At least they're not planning to do that on the M1, but there is an 11-mile stretch near London and a 10-mile stretch near Leeds, which are probably going to be the worst examples of reducing the width of the motorway. And ultimately, you might think, well, we'll go by train instead. But as you and I have spoken before, there's 1 or 2 problems with that in terms of everything from reliability to fares.
Yeah, exactly right. And I mean, the bit near London you're talking about is a part of the M1 between Luton and Milton Keynes. Now, I mean, I've been alive quite a long time. I can't remember a time, I don't think, when I've ever travelled anywhere near Luton and Milton Keynes on the M1 where it hasn't been down to 2 lanes or down to 1 lane or down to a 50-mile-an-hour restriction. You know, the M1 hasn't been in a good way, really, for the best part of the last 20 years, has it?
Well, it hasn't, but it just gets ridiculous amounts of use, and therefore, if part of the reason the M40 was built was to try to relieve the strain on the M1. But what we tend to get with motorways is that you build them and then everyone thinks, oh, that's great. And they change their habits to use the new one. And that gradually gets more and more congested. And there's a school of thought, Mike, which is that you could keep building them, but they just keep filling up anyway. And smart motorways, all lanes running, was designed to kind of, OK, well, we're not going to spend billions of pounds more. We're not going to take up more of the countryside. We're just going to try and get by with what we've got. It's the same thing that we do with the railways, and certainly the same thing we do with the airports. I mean, we've got the most, when you flew into Gatwick, you were flying into the world's busiest single runway airport because, well, they're going to get a new one quite soon, but maybe another 5 years or so.
Yes, well, nothing gets done quickly in this country, I'm afraid. Sad to hear. Listen, glad you're in Canada. You must tell us how that's all going when we next talk to you. Simon Calder reporting into us there from Canada.